Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to be doing an unboxing of Tainted Grail Kings of Ruin. This is something I have been waiting for so long. I am super pumped for this. I do have the Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon and everything that went along with it, and it is actually a fantastic game. Kings of Ruin is a standalone game built in the same universe, and from what I understand, I looked as much as I could into this, you do not have to have played through that game to be able to play this game. It's not technically a continuation, but it just lives in the same world from what I understand. If I am wrong about that, please let me know in the comments section below so that I can make sure that everybody understands that there is actually things in that game that do pop up in this one, but I do not know. From what I could gather, I couldn't find anything that really said that this was a complete sequel from it. Anyway, continuing on with the unboxing, I also want to thank Awakened Realms. This is a review copy that I got from them, so I'm going to be unboxing it, doing a painting video, I believe. I do not think this is a Sundropped pledge, so we'll maybe do a painting video showing some of the cool things you can do with these miniatures. And then of course we're going to be doing a playthrough of this as well. I'm super pumped to dig into this, super pumped to see what this game has in store, and I'm excited to see all the new things that Kings of Ruin have to offer. And if you're excited as well, then I need you to meet me at the table. Now before we dig into this, this is almost an all-in pledge. I did get the card sleeves for this, which I'll quickly show off. We've also got the upgraded resource pack. We got the Kings of Ruin Deluxe Exploration Journal, and we also have the Weird Encounters as well. So those are what I received from Awakened Realms. Colin has also a pledge for the Tainted Grail Kings of Ruin coming. I don't think have gotten it yet, but hopefully it comes in. His is actually Sundropped, so you might be able to see what some of those miniatures are like as we go forward through the playthrough. I'm planning to do at least the first mission in this, but then Colin and I are hoping to play this together on Meet Me at the Table live, so that if you're interested in seeing this game unfold around you, you can join us then. Of course, at the time of this recording, we are playing through Primal, and after that is done, we're planning to get into Kings of Ruin, so it's going to be super fun. Let's take off the box and see what's inside. I'm sure it's a lot of stuff. It's so much stuff, it's even stuck to the lid of the box. That's unbelievable. Yes, the cardboard was of course stuck to the box, but that's okay. We're gonna put that to the side. We do have the rule book here. This rule book has to be probably really well written. Awakened Realms has been absolutely fantastic in the rule books going forward. When they were first starting to make games, they were a little hard. Sometimes some of the rules weren't written especially well. Now, though, recently over the last few games that they have made have been absolutely fantastic, and I'm expecting nothing less from this rule book right here. It sits at about 44 pages, sitting right here. So we'll have to read through this in order to get this to the table. From what I understand, many of the mechanics are very similar to the original Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. There are some new introductions into this game that may alleviate some of the things that deterred some other players from the original Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. Now, personally, I loved everything about it, so I wasn't too deterred by it, but hopefully this is going to be a step up into the game itself, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. So let's put this aside. We also do have a start here. This is fantastic for you to be able to understand and grasp what the game's all about. It's going to take you step by step through every part of the game, starting with like how to unpack your models, preparing the tokens. It's even going to get you into the game itself, setting up your characters. It's going to tell you there is a pack of cards in here that I will show you that is going to be for all of the different steps in this game. It's even going to go through a tutorial for combat, and I believe there's probably even going to be a tutorial for diplomacy. And by the way, looking at all these are all the different steps that you're going to find in the game. So it's really cool that they go through all these steps for you. Now, I don't think this is what I'm going to be playing. I think I'll be playing the original first mission in this game, or the first quest, or the first whatever, however they want to describe it. I'm going to be playing through that on the channel. Let's continue on. We do have a Stretch Goals Exploration Journal. We'll take a look at that. We have a secret envelope that we're not supposed to open, so I will definitely not be opening that. We'll slide that right over there. We have some more paper components, but first let's take a look at some of the stuff I pulled out. The first punch board we have are going to be some of the standees. These are going to be 5 of the different companions and 21 of the different guardians. This down here is a combat pool tracker that you're going to connect together with these 2 dials, and that way you can spin this down when you need to for the combat tracker. The next set of tiles, or actually I've got 2 of them that are pretty much very similar. The first is we have the remainder of the guardians and companions down here, but these are really cool. These are going to be parts of your character. As you go forward in the game, there are different stats that are going to be affecting different parts of the game. You'll see them on the player boards as we go forward, but they're kind of a yin and yang type concept. So you have like aggression and empathy on one side, or aggression on one, empathy on the other. You also have courage and caution, and you'll have practicality and spirituality. Now, as you increase in these stats, once you get to the max on the player boards, you're then able to pick one of these for your particular character. Now, each character has one for themselves here, but then what you're going to be able to do is decide which one you want to have. So for example, if we decide we want this one, we can put this next to our player board, and this will be the next evolution of your character. Now, of course, it is dual-sided, so you have to choose which one you think is going to be the best for your character in the situation. I also want to mention that this game can be played 1 to 4 players, so you can play multiple, or of course, you can multi-hand it as well. So you do have multiple ways of playing through the game, but here are some of the, I guess you could say, final skills that some of the characters can get. Of course, that's not exactly what they're called. They're technically called skill tokens, and you'll be able to use these for your character going forward. Now, that's it for the punch boards, which is really cool. The game is really not a punch board based game. There's not a lot of cardboard for the punch board per se. There is a small section here that has, if anybody's ever played The Fall of Avalon, these are letters that are going to be based on your character. Each character does come with their own letter going forward. So we have Elgin, the Candlemaker. These are the 4 characters found in the box. We have Gerdwin, the Sellsword. We have Inis, the Fomerian Glatrix. And the last one we have is Osvert, the Traveling Jester. Of course, I could have said some of those names wrong. I apologize. And in case people are coming into this blind and don't know much about it, the game is set in the Arthurian legends, but you're not any of those people. You're not any of the people that were part of the King Arthur story at all. You are going to be other characters that basically King Arthur and some of those other people have already done the things they're supposed to do or have been lost in this world, and you're kind of the next step, or you're somebody that has come after this to try to figure out what is here. And each of these letters are going to have something to do with your character, and they are dual-sided, so like some of these are pretty long. Like these actually, they're all pretty long except for the Candlemaker. Nope, that's Obert's, the Traveling Jester. All the rest of them are 2 completely huge letters. This would be awesome. So we'll have to read through these when we pick our character and decide. Now, of course, when I decide to play this, I am going to have my Patreon supporters decide what we're going to do. That is something I allow my Patreons to do. So if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, you can check out the link in the description of the video and help me decide what character we're going to play with when we play through our playthrough, and potentially even maybe 2 of them. There's also a map for each of the characters that you can make notes on. It does say over and over in this game that it is very important, or at least it's a good idea to have taken notes as you play through the game so that you can know where to go and what you're going to have to do next, or at least it gives you an idea of, if you get stuck in an area, what to expect and where to maybe come back to in the game. Next, we have our stretch goal exploration journal. At the beginning of this, it tells you exactly kind of how to use this book. One thing I do want to mention is it does have some lost chapters. We have one for the Knight's Wager, and we also have one for the Quest of Ignaria's Tomb. These are both what they consider standalone missions that you can play if you wish to, with the Kings of Ruin characters are kind of built for that. The other couple are Into the Mists is a roguelite adventure in which you can tackle increasing difficulty, but the final one really makes me wonder. This sounds really cool. It's from the Places Beyond expansion. It's a set of new location cards that you can discover during the Kings of Ruin playthrough, and they may be familiar to you if you've played Tainted Grail. So from what I said of the original thing, I don't think the main game has much to do with the original Tainted Grail. I could have, like I said, be wrong, but it looks like this is really going to give you a fun little way of bringing some of the Tainted Tainted Grail stuff back to you. Now, I could be completely wrong about that, but this is the stretch goals box components list, and it's right here, and then it tells you exactly how to implement them in there, and I'm sure this, yeah, then after this is going to be the storybooks about this. The first one up here, this Knight's Wager, has to do a lot with the legend of the Green Knight, which is also part of the Arthurian legends, so it's kind of cool that they implement all these different things about it. We do have our save sheets for the Kings of Ruin that you can track all your characters when you go to save them, exactly kind of where their skills are, where the location is, the names of people. Up here it has the times and quests and things of that. Also, I'll explain how these work, but you have where your waystones are going to go. So it's kind of nice that they have a note, and there are quite a bit of them, so you can have lots of different saves going through here. These are the status sheets for the game. Now, again, there's a few of these too, which is kind of helpful. This is going to tell you and keep you up to date as to what you have unlocked in the game, which will influence how the game turns out. So if you go to, let's say, a location and you're supposed to read from your journal, and it says, do you have 5 alternate paths marked off? Yes, I do. Then you're going to read a special section going forward. So depending on what you've decided to do in the game is going to influence kind of how the story journal unfolds for your character. Like it'll say, do you have any epilogues? No, I don't. Okay, then we're going to read this epilogue. Do you have 1, 2, or 3? I have 3. Then you're going to read this one, and so forth. And so how much debt do you have? How much campfire stories have you heard? Backwood Alliance. How much of the Backwood Alliance have you met in the game? Which is pretty sweet. On the back here, it has an extended player notes, the amount of time passing for all the different chapters. Looks like it's 10 chapters. And then what our main quest is, side quests, important characters, locations. I think this is one great place to be able to keep some notes if you want to. And if you don't want to keep them there, you've got a huge gold journal full of places you can put notes in with some absolutely fantastic art. And I don't know if I'll ever write in this because it's just way cool to just have this cool thing sitting almost on a coffee table or something for people to look at. Really neat looking. All right, then we have the Lost Chapters, which again is going to have its own sheets for the status of how the game has transpired. Same with the Igneous Tomb. And wow, there's a lot of them here. Way more than the main game, which is kind of cool. Then we have Into the Mist check sheets, check boxes as well, which are in here. And then on the back is it going to be the other one? Into the Mist. No, it's the same thing. Into the Mist. Sorry, Into the Mist. Sorry. There we go. There we go. We got our character sheets now. These are our character sheets. These are going to, again, as we go through it, we're going to be able to check these off. During end of day, all locations in play are side up. Go to Elgin's Memory 1. So if all of them have this symbol are side up, you go to a memory. So it's kind of cool. It gives you some idea. The higher power. I'll have to dig into how this all transpires, how the higher power works. But everybody's got these. Every single one of them are in here for all the different characters. Now, are they the same on both sides? During combat, win an encounter. Yeah, they're the same thing on both sides. So we do have some status sheets for our characters as well as the actual game itself. This right here, this is the huge exploration journal that you're going to be using during the game. This is a massive book. It doesn't even have a page number count on it, but just know that it's massive. The way this works is this is going to be all the different places you go in this world. I am going to show you the next page of this, and the reason I am is because it's 101, which when you play the game for the first time, that is the very first place that you are going to be going to. And I'm just going to show you this first page. I'm not going to show you any more, but at least it gives you an idea of what you're looking at when you see this. So what this does is it's going to give you, as you go to this and you decide to explore this particular location, it's going to have, if you don't have the hints one part, go to verse 19. Otherwise, read on. So it's going to have, see again, already starting to say, check what you have in order to decide how you're going to read in this book. You can choose, it's going to give different choices, depending on not only just this place, but other places you go to are going to give you choices that you can do. And it's going to either cost you energy, or you might have to have a certain skill, or you might have to spend food or wealth or magic or something in order to be able to proceed based on what it is. And every place has some cool artwork that you're going to see. And these places do have multiple places that you can go. On top of the places you have up here, there's also going to be a book of secrets in the back. This is going to have, these are eventually maybe in this book, it'll say, okay, now turn to book of secrets 17. And you go back here to the book of secrets for that, because not only they don't want it here, they want it in there because I don't know why, because it's super cool to have them there. They also have these other areas here, the EOR, I forget what that is. That is the Echoes of Ruin. These, I believe are going to be some of the dream type sequences and things. I could be wrong, or it could be part of the expansion material. I don't think it's the expansion material, but I think it's part of the dream type thing. I could be wrong, and I apologize if I am, but that is pretty much what this is, the exploration journal. It's the lifeblood of this game, along with all the cards you're going to see in here. This is a good time to be able to show you that I also had received, I guess you could say, the holy grail of exploration journals. This is the leather-bound type book as well. That is basically a copy of this with more kind of pictures and things in it that bring the game to life. So again, I'm not going to show any of it. I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's got all the different books in here and all the different exploration areas as well. Plus it has some extra art as well if you wanted to see that going forward. It's got some really cool artwork that is part of the game, which is pretty neat. But the book itself does have, I guess you could say, a lot more artwork, but I think the story itself is still the same. It's still the same exploration journal as the one you get, but it's super cool. And I like to be able to call it the Holy Grail of books because it's the Tainted Grail. All right, we're going to move into this stuff. This, like I said, is not a Sundropped pledge. They are the gray miniatures, but that's super good. You have to remember, Awaken Realms does a fantastic job on miniatures. There's not too many companies that can even stand a candle to them, I guess you could say. Here are some of the miniatures you're seeing here. Now, I don't apologize. I don't know, of course, what these are or where you're going to fight them, but check that guy out. That guy looks amazing. He's got a bunch of lanterns, like not hanging down, but hanging up off him, which is pretty cool. We have a character here with a sword and it looks like more like a fan, I guess you could say. No, it's a shield. I think it's a shield. But it looks like it's got, it looks like from the sea. It looks like a shield from the sea with a bunch of coral on it, which looks really neat. These, I believe, up here are our characters. I could be wrong. This, I believe, is the candle maker, Elgin, right here with the candles on his back and also on his staff right there. We have some of the other characters here. This, I think, is Gerdwin. I think this is who this character is right here with this big giant shield in front of her shooting off these arrows. That's pretty awesome. So that's just a few of the miniatures here. As you can see, they're super detailed, super awesome. We're going to use these to put on our combat dial. We have, what is this? This is going to be a tracker for, I believe, the diplomacy things that encounters that you do. It's going to be a diplomacy tracker as you go forward. We have some bases for if you wanted to use just the standee components. Awaken Realms always has these wonderful cubes. These are going to denote different things either in combat or they're going to be denoting resources for food, wealth, experience, and magic, and so on and so forth. We have these larger universal markers. I believe these are going to symbolize either 5 or 10 points into these. I could be wrong. Then, like I said, these are going to be not only for these things, it's going to track any of the encounter-ish things we're doing. Also, it's going to track our points here, and also it's going to keep track of our different stats that we have as well. And we'll put these aside, and then let's take a look at the player boards themselves. Here are the different boards. We have Gerdwin. Now every character is different. Not only do they have these chevrons right here are going to be where you put your starting cubes, and that's going to be the amount of power they have in those particular areas of their life. You know, this person is way more practical than they are spiritual. Like I said, these are kind of a yin and yang type concept. So aggression versus empathy. So Gerdwin is a little bit more aggressive. Also, every person is going to have a special ability in here as well. She's got like Overloaded and Hunt, where Elgin here is going to have Make a Weird Candle and Fear of the Weird. So they all have kind of a detriment that goes along with their characters. So whenever I resolve the lightning bolt effect on one of these type of locations, I'm going to gain a terror. And if your terror ever goes too high or your health ever goes to 0, then you're going to have to deal with either going insane or dying. And there are rules that go along with that. So, and they're in the rulebook. I haven't looked at them yet. Here's the rest of the guys. We have Inus, Ironus, I apologize, I can't say his name. Terrifying Feast. So this is one of the powers they have. They also have the Outcast. At the end of the day, if you are in a location with that particular symbol, you are going to gain 2 terror. That's no good. We don't want terror. But again, this person seems very aggressive, but even has an empathy as well. And but no practicality. So if you had to go to a location or part of your journal that said like, hey, if you have 1 practicality, you can go ahead and read this area. Now, if you're in a party of, let's say, 2 people, let's say you're in a party with this person here. Let's say these 2 are together in a party and they go to a place that says, if you have 2 aggression, you can do this. Well, even though Gurgwin doesn't have the 2 aggression, this person does, the entire party can move forward in that particular place when it comes to the journal itself. Also, if it asked for, let's say, caution, well, she has none, or this character has none, I apologize. This one does have 1, so you would be able to go forward with that. Also, if you ever have to make a skill check involving, let's say, aggression, you'd roll, most of the time it's a d6. You'd roll a d6 and you would add the aggression, but you only add the aggression of the highest character. So if you rolled, let's say, a 2, you would only get to add 2. You wouldn't be able to add 3 if you had these 2 together in a party in that particular place dealing with that particular skill. So here are our characters. There's 4 of them. This is what they look like. They look awesome. Once I decide who we're playing with, I'll try to paint that character up, and we'll even do it live. It'll be pretty sweet. You can join me on that. Here's the last one, is Elgin the Candle Maker. There he is in right there. Okay. So those are all the characters, super cool. There looks like there's a red revealer in this game. There's not one of those in the original game, so that'll be pretty awesome. From what I understand, though, you have to unlock this. You don't just get this. You have to unlock it, I believe, in the game, which then will bring forth some of the different parts of the journal, because then you'll be able to read it because you have the red revealer part. But these are the different tokens. These are going to be time tokens that we have here. These are more time tokens, depending on, I guess, maybe ones are more higher value than the other one, or maybe it just has to do with what type of token is a light token versus a dark token. Maybe it has a game effect there. We also have with us, these are these chevron things that we're going to put on our character board. So let's open these up and I can show you really quick how that goes. So you're going to start your character with it in its location. Now, as this character takes damage, say they take about this much damage, they're down to here. When it goes to the end of the day, when you're going to bring back your energy up, you'd only be able to bring it to the top part of where your health hits. Now, of course, your terror can keep going. You can go all the way up here and get insane. But this might just keep going down until you get to, so now you only get 3 because you're very hurt. You'll have to heal yourself up, back up to this area. Now, these little chevron here is where, no, they're not from Stargate. These right here are going to tell you where exactly you're going to place the starting parts for your character. So even on the health and energy side of things, and everybody, like I said, is different. This person has 8 health. This Elgin only has 7. So every character does have a little bit different. Now, this is kind of scary. This guy's only got 5. This guy's got 5. That kind of really scary. I don't think I want to play that guy. Don't pick that guy, please. That guy's going to die. This person starts with 9 health, so that's pretty awesome. All right, so that's how those work. The next things we have a few more tokens in here, and then we have some dice. There are 3 different types of dice. We have a straight 10-sider, a straight 6-sider, and then we have what's called the Guardian die. And the Guardian die itself is going to, the Guardians are going to be out there, and I believe at the beginning of the day, they are going to move. And they can move either south or west or north or east or X. It might be maybe a power on them that goes with this, or it just stays there, depending on what the actual monster itself does. And like I said, it's got a 1 and 10-sider. They are real 1 and 10-siders. There's nothing crazy about them. And it even has a 10. It doesn't have the 0 like a lot of 10-siders do. The last set of things we have are quest markers that you're going to be using during the game. Now we're going to lift this up, and this is going to bring us to all the cards and some big, huge, giant miniatures. Why wouldn't you have big, huge, giant miniatures? Of course you need big, huge, giant miniatures. Look at this guy. This guy's out of control. Now, I think I had this guy. Now, I originally did a playthrough of the prototype of Kings of Ruin, and I think this was in the box. So we didn't get to use him in the prototype, but it was still kind of cool to see one of these in action. All right, we're going to put him back in there if I can figure out how. There you go, just like that. Well, look at these 2 guys. I'm going to guess these are some of the bigger boss monsters, or the things we're going to have to try to deal with. So I don't know if we'll be painting these guys up right away, but oh my gosh, this guy looks awesome. Look, he's got these tentacles coming out of him. Almost looks, it just looks amazing. These models are out of control. These are going to be super cool. I kind of wonder, maybe I normally sun-drop everything, but now that I've seen this for the first time, I've never not gotten something from them a sun-drop. So I might not in some of them in the future, because I could paint these up and they look really cool. But if I get them sun-dropped, they're painted and I don't have to do it anymore. Now, I'm not going to go through all these cards. A lot of it is because it's a story-based game where I want you to be able to explore this on your own. Some of the stuff I'm going to show you is going to be things that you will get to see at the very beginning of the game. The first thing you do in the game is the only things of any of these cards I'm going to show. I'm not going to show much more than that. So we'll take all these cards out of here and see if I can find at least some of those that I can show you. Now, as I go through this, I do have the card sleeves for this. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to sleeve them and put them in here. And a lot of the times when it comes to Awakened Realms, they've started to get to the point where when you do have cards that you're going to sleeve, and so you sleeve everything like I do, the sleeve box itself does give you the ability to put those in there. When we get to that particular box, I'll show it to you. Actually, let's check it out right now. Looking at the sleeve box for Kings of Ruin, it does look like it's going to have the ability, not only you get to pull these cards out and sleeve everything, that'll take a month of Sundays, we also have the ability to put some of those cards in here. So it's just an expanded basic box here as you go forward. And the cool thing is you could probably get away with the cards you think you're going to be using the most, you can put into these boxes, then these could be out on the side. And then if you just need to get to it, you totally can. There's nothing on the bottom or all of that. That's the card sleeve box. I just wanted to check because, like I said, in the past, they didn't do that, but now in some of the most recent Kickstarters, they've given you the ability to use this box as a way to hold some of the sleeve cards instead of trying to find some magical way of getting them all into the box, and it never seems to work. The first set of cards we have that I'm not going to open and show people are the encounters. There are 3 different types of these. There's blue, green, and purple. Purple are more supernatural type encounters. The green is more natural type of encounters. And the blue one are going to be diplomatic encounters that you're going to do. Like if you go into a town, you have to deal with a certain group of people in there, or you have to try to convince somebody on the road. Then these are the type of encounters you're going to use. The cool thing is they set up together to make this neat looking picture here. Now I will say one thing I did not get in this is the playmat. I do not have the playmat for this, sadly. I would have been really awesome to have the playmat for this, but I do not have the playmat. And I don't think we pledged for it when we did our Kickstarter backing for it, or GameFound backing, I apologize. So these look really cool. The old ones they only had the colors down here, which it was sometimes a little bit tough to figure out where you're pulling from. I do like the fact they actually have art on the cards kind of showing what deck they're going to go into. So super cool for those. There are 74 different location cards. Now that just might be these. This right here is the stretch goals, place from beyond. That's that special one where you can maybe get some new cards that you might remember from the original Avalon. Now, of course, no idea if that's exactly right. Here's what the cards look like. Now, I'm showing you this because this is the very first card you're going to be dealing with. So it does have down here, each party member loses health or gains 2 terror. The forayed blades and ruined windmills slowly churn the weirdness, creating wild torrents. So they give you some neat flavor text for it. This up here, this is good to denote whether or not, and it's a place where you can put down one of your markers. And if the marker is there, it's going to be able to touch up to 4 cards. Those 4 cards are then going to be able to lose their weirdness, and you're going to be not having to deal with that detriment. Now, the cool thing about this, as opposed to the Fall of Kings of Avalon, or the Fall of Avalon, sorry, you can be on cards. If this thing disappears, you can still be on the card. The card still stays there. It doesn't disappear. In the other game, if your mentor ever went out, you would have to discard the cards around it. And if you're on one of those, you would have to get to another card, and it would cost you health and sanity, or terror, I apologize. So if this thing's out like this, then you get to see the ability of the glory of the card, I guess you could say. And it'll also have some things that are on here. I can gain a food if I decide to use 2 of my energy. There's an unlimited time on this card. Once per fertile farmland. Once a fertile farmland, now a dreary waste. punctuated by wooden carcasses of abandoned windmills. So now you would be able to go into this particular story journal and read about this if you decided to check out this area. And then of course, based on what that is, you're going to be able to see more. Now, I would put another card up here, but I'm not going to. I just wanted to show you this one card, but do notice this arrow up here is where you're going to be placing other cards. And then once you put that card down, it might have cards on all the different sides. Now, I don't believe they ever are going to be placed diagonal, and these things, like I said, are going to keep them lit. If if you ever need to place another one out, you'd have to remove one from somewhere in order to put it out onto another card. But from what I understand, unless there's something in the story itself, these don't go out like the menhirs from the original game, which is kind of cool. So they kind of keep on going and keep you alive. So you can actually explore all these things without having to come back and try to deal with it again, which it was kind of a challenge in that game. It was one of the challenges for that game. So these are all the different locations that you can come across in this game. There's an absolute monstrous amount of them. And of course, in the journal, some of them you might not be able to interact with unless you're on certain chapters or you have certain skills or things of that nature. There are going to be different, like I said, there are different chapters. So we have, like, here's the lost chapters. We have the original chapters here. So these are all the different chapter cards that you're going to be experiencing as you go through the game, which are going to affect it. We have a full set of card dividers here that you're going to be able to use to keep the cards from, so that you know exactly what you're pulling. They've got all different kinds here: random events, story events, active events, all the different pool of cards for our characters, all the different encounter cards. They can all just be placed in there so you can quickly grab the cards you need when you're setting up. Next, we have a bunch of small cards. They're going to be, I believe, about 50 with some extra cards maybe for the stretch goals, up to about 51 or so different secret cards. On top of that, they have all these different item cards as well. They have consumables, E, D, C, B, and A, depending on what card they tell you to pull. Now, it does say in the easy mode that if you wanted to play on the easy mode, every character can start with a level A card. I'm going to show one of the A cards. I don't think it's going to spoil anything. It's probably one you might pick up right away. Like, for example, you can get Lucky Charm. It's magically delicious. Okay, it's not. It says anytime we roll a die, you must accept the second result once per day. So it's something, these are, of course, items that are going to help your party and your characters moving forward, along with all the secret cards in this game as well. And of course, some of these secret cards not only going to give you items and things of that nature, they're going to be the things you need in order to progress into some of the chapters of the game, or even some of the story journal entries as well. You can find one that says, do you have story secret card 22? No, I don't. I don't have that. So that might be something you might want to mark down, that, hey, if we went to card number 107, remember, we need to have secret card 22 to go forward. So I'm going to write that down somewhere. So if we get it, we can go back there and see what that was all about and really experiencing it. Now, of course, you'll never be able to experience this entire game in one sitting, from what I understand. It kind of says it's almost impossible. So it does have a lot of replay value in that sense. And just like the smaller cards, there are bigger cards that are secret. So we do have some secret cards there. Again, not going to show those. Next, we have some of these combat cards. We also have a set of diplomacy cards as well. I'm going to just show you the basic stuff that your characters start with. I'm not going to show you anything in the advanced time, but do know as you gain experience in this game, you not only can increase the stats on your characters, you could also get more cards for your deck and make it a more powerful deck going forward. So the combat cards, for example, this is Elgin's. They all have this B down here, which means there is basic starting cards. And this is very similar to the Fall of Avalon, if you've played that one. Again, I'm going to show you a card from here. It's the this is just the open and play deck. This is the very beginning tutorial on how to start here. But I want to show you the monster in here so that I can demonstrate a little bit of how this works. So you're going to have your monster here. It's going to tell you exactly how many cubes you need to put on this monster in order to defeat it. Then it has all these different symbols over here. If you have one of any of those, then if you play any cards that match those, you're going to be able to put out cubes onto this, or whatever the ability is over on this side. Then on top of that, you could spend magic to be able to do things too, which I believe this is draw a card. And then if there's anything at the bottom that matches up, you're able to do that as well. So if I played Poison Candle, I'd get one of these cubes towards this character, and I would be able to do the power that's on here. I'd place 3 time on here. Whenever there's no time on here, then this thing is going to basically fire off and do 3 damage to this monster. Put 3 cubes on there. I apologize, not damage, just cubes. Because the amount of cubes on there is going to be determined what this particular monster does after you've decided to stop your turn. This thing will go ahead and react to the amount of cubes you put on. If you put 3, you're going to take 1 wound. If you put 0 to 2, you're going to take 2 wounds. If you defeat it, you're going to gain a loot of a food. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. There's 2 poisonous candles. There's Spark. There's Defend. I could defend. I could do a Careful Attack, which lining these up and we'll do things. Now notice this one lines up again where I can line up more things. So if I had 2 of this would all take place together, and we can do all these different things together. It's kind of cool how they can chain together like that. And of course, in a party, you're able to play cards with each other, I believe, and it's really kind of neat. Now, of course, it's very similar to the way the diplomacy works. Diplomacy also has those same things here, but unlike the monster, you're going to be trying to raise up a thing over here. It's a little diplomacy meter. And as you are able to affect the different things to bring these up, so for example, if I had this symbol and these matched up, I'd be able to take advantage of that, which means I'd be able to raise the thing up 1. And if I get into the green, when we get to the end of this, I'd be able to gain 1 wealth and 1 food. If I'm in this gray, I would gain this. And if I'm in the red, usually that's the worst. It's not very good to be in. So that is that's the way these work. And of course, whenever it's their turn to activate, they're going to do whatever this is. I believe it's lose 1. It would go down 1 is how that works. So there's 2 different types of kind of mini games in this as you play through it. You're fighting enemies and you're also using diplomacy as well. So you kind of, when you come in, you want to at least have a well-rounded character for those particular things, or you could create a party of 1 strong character and 1 diplomatic character, and they work together going forward. There's multiple ways to tackle this game. Now, any other cards in that particular thing are all going to be like hidden or things you're not supposed to know about. So I'm not going to show any more of the cards about this game, but do know here is the weird encounters. Remember all those standees we had? We do have miniatures for these. And again, check out the miniatures for these. These are awesome. Look at this guy. This guy's super big and super awesome. He's a giant like lizard person here that with wings that probably aren't going to put him too high in the air. Super cool looking guy there. We just got a band of bad guys here. This guy's got 4 arms. I thought he was multiple people, but no, he's just one guy with 4 arms. That's pretty out of control. Why not? 4 arms there. We've got look at this guy's shields on the side. Those shields are amazing, and he's got this giant thing that he's hitting people with. Oh, super cool. We've got a knight. This knight is going to power through here. He's going to come at you, and it looks like the Headless Horseman is what this looks like. Oh my gosh, I actually thought the head was missing for a second, but it actually is supposed to be missing. That is the Headless Horseman. And if it's not, I don't know what is, because that's pretty amazing. Look at this one. This one's like a whole bone-type creature that looks like it's playing a flute. Oh no, it's eating an arm. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Oh, no, there's not even an arm, it's a foot. Look at the foot. It's eating the foot. That's pretty awesome. Oh my gosh, these are so good. Awakened Realms always has an absolutely fantastic set of miniatures all the time. The miniatures are so good. Look at this tree guy. Old guy, tree guy. That's pretty amazing. Oh my gosh, so good. All right, so we have those. Those are the weird encounters. And there's one more thing I want to, I'm going to put this on top. One more thing left to show off that we need to see. And then that's everything. That's all the stuff that I have. We have upgraded resources that instead of using the cubes, you can use these for magic. These are going to be used for, what are these for? Experience. These are used for tracking, these might be for magic actually. These might be experience. These are food, and there's 2 different types of food. So there's small food and big food. So you have 5s and 1s. You have wealth. You have small and 1 and 5s. Magic, 1s and 5s. So super, super cool that we got these upgraded things. Now, those are pretty awesome. And then, of course, I want to tell you all, I am a big, big liar. I did get the playmat. So we're going to look at this playmat real quick, because this is going to be super cool. This playmat is amazing. I'm going to try to show at least what I can on camera. So the way this works is you get to put your decks up here. They all fit on this playmat, which is the coolest part about this playmat. So everything you need is right here. We have all our item cards over here. We have our encounter cards right here. These are our day events. We have our secret cards. We have everything we can put there. And then as we play through the game, our character, our map is going to expand out onto this thing. So it starts here and it goes up here. It goes over here, goes over here. This playmat is huge. So it can hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ones this way and 4 this way, it looks like. So, oh my gosh, I'm super pumped I got the playmat. I for sure said so bummed, but then I looked at the bottom of the box, there it was. So I did find a playmat. I did get a playmat. So again, that playmat's amazing. These markers are amazing. Everything about this is going to be amazing. I am super pumped for this game. I can hardly wait to get this to the table. So there you have it. That is the Kings of Ruin unboxing. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when the playthrough for Kings of Ruin comes out. Also, like I said, I am hoping to do a painting video for some of this as well. So please join me live for that as going forward. Also, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. Have you had a chance to dig into this yet? Is it something you're super pumped for and waiting for as well? Or did you miss out on it and you're okay with that? Be interesting to hear what people have to say about Kings of Ruin. Also, if anybody does have an idea of whether or not this does have any allusions to the original one, please let me know in the comment section. Like I said, I did some scouring, but I couldn't find a lot of information on how much this game is kind of is compared to the other one, like how much of it actually interacts with the other one. From what I understand, is not much, except for those, I guess those cards that we found out do, which is kind of cool. All right, so if that's about all I've got. Of course, if you're interested in supporting the channel, the link to the Patreon is in the description of this video. Please feel free to join the Patreon if you wish to. Those that have are found here on the screen. The perks that they get is that they can watch our playthroughs usually about a day or two early without commercial interruptions, and like I said earlier in the video, they get a chance to help us decide how the game goes forward. First off, I'm going to help them decide what characters we pick, and then moving forward, if there's anything like how to improve our skills and things by spending experience points, I'll be asking them. Now, if since you're going to have to wait a little bit for me to get this out to the table, there are some great playthroughs out there. Paul Grogan did a fantastic playthrough of King of Ruin. Please go check that out over at Gaming Rules. And if you're looking for another fantastic unboxing, Ryan over at Meeple Marathon did a fantastic unboxing of Kings of Ruin. So please go check that out as well. I'll try to remember to put a link to those two videos in the description of this video. Again, thank you to Awaken Realms for sending me a review copy of this game. Colin and I, like I said, are going to be playing this live eventually, so stay tuned for some of that. But I am going to be doing at least one recorded video of how Kings of Ruin is played so you can see it in full action. So thank you so much for watching the unboxing of Tainted Grail Kings of Ruin. If you're excited to see this or anything else Colin and I have coming up, then I need you to meet me at the table.